Hello once again, welcome to our class and your offering to yourself today. Today's class will be focusing on a slightly different version of yoga called Yin Yoga. Now, Yin Yoga is designed physically to allow ourselves to open up into the soft tissue of the body. While muscles require repeated movement in order to create new cells, our fascia or our soft tissue requires long, steady, sustained holds in order to create new fibroblasts or new cells within those soft tissues. And the soft tissue is what basically connects our entire body. It holds our organs in place, it holds our ligaments and protects our joints. It basically holds us together. So Yin Yoga can often appear as a gentle practice because we hold stillness for a number of minutes in each pose. However, it can be quite challenging to also be in stillness. So whilst we have practiced ahimsa, or non-violence towards ourselves, extending kindness and compassion to ourselves and listening to our bodies, challenging by choice, we've also practiced svataya, which is being aware and being present and mindful in every given moment of our practice. I'm going to invite you to practice santosha today, or contentment. So stillness can often be the most challenging thing in yoga. Often we think about the physical practice of yoga as inviting a lot of movement into our body. But there seems to be a lot of movement in our day-to-day life, a lot of high energy movement. And it might not necessarily be you physically out and about, bike riding or running or engaging in sport. The physical movement in our lives that I'm referring to is the coming and going in the household, the racing around and those sorts of things. So this opportunity in lockdown is also a beautiful opportunity to find contentment or santosha, to find stillness, to be self-aware and to be comfortable in that space. Yin Yoga also invites us to be comfortable in the stillness while still knowing that we're receiving the benefits of those long sustained holds in our soft tissue or in our fascia and creating fibroblasts or new cells within the fascia. So today's practice, you might like to, if you've got them available to you, have a couple of blocks, not essential. We can always use our body to get into shapes. You might like to have a pillow or a blanket as well to stay nice and warm. Really important that you stay nice and warm throughout Yin so that you can open up into that soft tissue. So whilst Yin is practicing long sustained holds for a number of minutes each time, we will be pocketing our practice, our physical practice today, also with some gentle movement. So we might start standing up actually today and come back into your mountain pose. So that mountain pose is the feet comfortably apart, feeling balanced wherever you are, maybe just gently rocking from side to side, finding some balance. And we're going to start with the centering practice. So very gently relaxing your arms by your side and breathing in, feel that crown lifting to the sky. As you breathe out, feel your connection with the ground underneath you. Breathing in, lifting to the sky, and breathing out, feel that connection with the earth underneath you. One more time, breathing in and breathing out. Feel yourself growing tall with each breath, feeling yourself creating a little expansion within your body. And as you breathe out, feel yourself letting go, connecting with the earth and feeling the earth support you underneath you. And allowing yourself to be perfectly balanced between earth and sky. Perfectly balanced here in your body with your breath. Somewhere between the warm earth and the expansive sky. Let's take a breath in, circle the hands up, reaching up, growing tall, finding lift, length and space in the body, and then exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Return to Anjali Mudra, bringing balance into your body, your mind, into your receptive and active parts of your body and your mind. Staying where you are, we're going to gently curl down into a forward fold. Breathing in to grow tall. Use the exhalation to bring chin to chest, scoop navel to spine, pop a bend into the knees, and allow yourself to fold forward. Pop a nice deep bend into your knees. Here in our forward fold, you can either hold on to the elbows in front of you or hold on to the elbows behind you. Either way, allow your crown to drip towards the floor and just allow yourself to soften here in this forward fold. Now, if at any point you get a little dizzy or the sinuses start to have a little pressure, bring those hands in front and just lift your gaze. So either way, we're going to get comfortable here just for a few breaths, because if you're new to forward folds, they can feel a little different. And perhaps if you've got any sinus pressure at the moment, they can perhaps feel a little odd around your nose and your ears. So feel free to lift your gaze at any point. You might like to pop a little nod into your head or a little no action, just to release out through the neck, any tension in the jaw. And let your body know that it is in rest and restoration response by inviting some moisture into your mouth. So just invite some moisture into your mouth. A dry mouth is often associated with fear. So let your body relax into this shape. Then we're going to pop a nice deep bend into the knees. Take your feet a little wider if you wish. If you can keep your heels on the ground, feel free. But we're just going to come into a gentle yogi squat here. Now, if you do happen to have a block or an old dictionary or something around, you might like to, you're probably a lot more nimble than I am, you might like to pop a block underneath your hips so that you can get your heels to the ground. Or an alternative here is to pop the block underneath your heels. Either way, we're going to bring our hands to the inside edges of the thighs and bring your hands back to the heart in prayer position or Anjali Mudra. So finding a position that feels right for you, we're going to stay here for a few long, deep breaths. As I said, you're probably a lot more nimble than I am. So this is our yogi squat, and as you hold this position, feel free to continue to lift and lengthen through the crown. Reach your rib cage out of your hips. Keep the heart space open, keep the shoulder blades lengthened down into your back pockets, remembering our first principle of ahimsa. If something doesn't feel right, please change your shape. At the moment, we're getting into the fascia on the inside edges of your thighs. We're getting into the fascia that supports the back of the body as well. By lifting the rib cage out of the hips, you'll feel that gentle stretch along the middle part of your spine or your thoracic spine. Continue to lift and lengthen through the crown, reaching the crown away from the tailbone. And use your breath to create a little more space. So use the breath in, the inhalation, to create a little more lift, length and space. And use the breath out to soften the shoulders away from the ears. You can also imagine that the breath out is dissolving away any tension or tightness. So you should feel a comfortable, even amount of or a nice warmth or a spread of warmth across the middle part of your back and the inner side of your thighs. But if there's any pinching or pins and needles, it's a sign that you've gone too far. So with that practice of ahimsa and self-awareness, please be mindful of that and come out of the shape, come into a resting position. We're staying here for 3 to 5 more breaths. If the shoulders get tired, you can always just relax those arms and keep the lift and length through your spine. After your 3 to 5 breaths, remembering inviting that moisture back into your mouth, we're very gently following the path of least resistance, taking the hands down to the floor, making sure you're feeling balanced in the feet, lifting the hips, and coming into a slightly wider forward fold so that we're continuing to work on the inside edges of your legs. Again, if you have your block, you can use it to support your hands, or you can bring your hands to the floor or to the mat and allow your crown to drip towards the floor. So again, we're getting into the inner sides of the thighs, the backs of the knees. If you feel like you'd like a little more, hold on to the elbows and allow yourself to drip towards the floor. Again, option here is to lift your gaze. Let's just stay here for 3 to 5 breaths. Use that breath out to dissolve away any tension. Use the breath in to create a little more length. And then, following that path of least resistance, we take the hands directly underneath the shoulders and lift up into a tabletop position. So here the spine is lengthening out of the crown and the tailbone are reaching and lengthening in opposite directions, and we're lifting that heart to the horizon. Heel and toe the feet back underneath the hips and return back into your forward fold by popping a nice deep bend into your knees. Hands either come in the front or behind you. Crown towards the floor. And then very gently release those hands. Let's walk the hands out long, take the feet back, come up onto the toes, down onto the knees, and find a child's pose. Lengthening the forehead towards the floor, lengthening those arms away from the body, or taking them down towards your feet, rounding those shoulders forward. You might like to gently roll the forehead from side to side, just massaging out through the forehead, releasing the muscles in the face and the neck. And then very gently lengthening those arms out long and coming into an all fours position where the hands are directly underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips. Now, we came into Cobra and Fish last class. This class we're going to come into a variation that doesn't pinch on the lower back as much if you found that either of those positions created a little warmth in your spine. So we're coming into a melting heart position, as it's known in Yin, or puppy dog pose as it's known in general yoga classes. Where your hands are, you're going to take your elbows. The hips remain over the knees. Now we want to get our forehead to the floor. So lengthen out those arms, keeping your hips over your knees. Forehead comes to floor. You're going to feel a nice opening in the underside of your armpits and across your heart here. If you'd like a little more, then pop a bend into your elbows and take the hands into a prayer position behind your head. We are going to stay here for a few good minutes. Very minimum 2 minutes in each yin pose. And every minute over those 2 minutes will allow you to create new fibroblasts, new cells within your soft tissue. Feel free to have your toes flat. We'll get into the reflexology points at the soles of your feet at the same time by tucking those toes under. Very gently opening up across the heart and in the underside of your arms. Using your breath, allow it to flow in and out of the body like a rolling wave. Coming
in and out of the shoreline of your body. Use the exhalation in particular to soften and dissolve away any tightness. Invite your jaw to be relaxed, your mouth to be soft. There's a little moisture in your mouth as your body engages in that rest and relaxation response. Just 3 to 5 more breaths here. And then very gently, following that path of least resistance, lengthen out the arms, send the hips to the heels, and either coming to extended child's pose, full pranam, or letting those hands come down towards the feet and round through the shoulders. A little roll across the forehead, a little movement here. A little rock from side to side. And then very gently pausing, taking a breath in to reset. Feel free to breathe out through the mouth. Another breath in. And breathe out. Lengthen out the body. And very gently come back to all fours. Now we got into the soft tissue across the front of the shoulder girdle. Now we're going to get into the soft tissue at the back of the shoulder around the rotator cuff. And we're going to come into thread the needle or rolling panda. There's a couple of layers with this option, so feel free to take the layers that are right for you. You might like to have your block or your cushion handy if you'd like to rest your head, particularly if you've got neck or a shoulder injury. Again, there are layers here, there are options. We come into a tabletop position, a nice neutral spine, reaching the crown away from the tailbone, ribcage out of the hips. Breathing in, taking your left arm up and out to the side like an elephant's trunk, and then exhale, reach under your right arm without touching the floor, reach that left hand as far as it will go, and then allow the back of the hand, the shoulder, and the side of the face to come to the mat. Now this is where if you feel any pinching, you can use your block or your pillow to lift that head and create a little less tension across that shoulder. So feel free to take an option that's right for your body as you bring the left ear and the cheek to the floor. Now you can stay here and relax that right arm if that's your choice, or you can extend out that right leg out in line with your left knee. Again, we're getting into the inner side of the groin, so we're adding a little extra element here. A gentle twist through the thoracic spine, an opening through the inner side of that right leg and into the back of the shoulder. We're getting into the soft tissue in all of those points. If you would like a little more here, this is where the thread the needle turns into a rolling panda. You can lift that right hand up to the sky and then exhale, wrap it around the back of the body towards your left hip crease, Now this is where you might start to want to roll. At this point in Yin Yoga, you might want to hug those abdominals in towards you, but we want to resist the temptation. Everything should be soft here. As soon as we tense those muscles, we're engaging in strength work or conditioning work. But at the moment, we want to soften into this shape. So feel free to close your eyes, relax the jaw, relax the mouth, invite some moisture back into your mouth, and even let your toes and your fingers relax here. Use the breath out, the exhalation in particular, to soften into that shape. Now remember the practice of ahimsa, ensuring that if you do feel any pain, pinching, pins and needles, it's a time to turn down the volume or layer it back. Let's just stay here for a few more breaths. Inviting a little smile of contentment into the corners of your eyes, practicing santosha here in the stillness. Just 3 to 5 breaths here. And after your 3 to 5 breaths, following that path of least resistance, if your right arm is wrapped around the back of the body, very gently return it to the mat. If that right leg is extended, very gently return knee under hip. Press into the earth with your right hand as you peel up that left shoulder very gently, very carefully. Now you might like to open up the elephant trunk again if it feels right to do so before returning back down to the mat. Your body might crave movement at this time, so feel free to create a figure of 4 movement with your shoulders. Or you might like to prefer stillness, so feel free to come into your child's pose of choice. Either way, movement or stillness, listening to your body, trusting your body's intuition, and be guided by that. Just 2 or 3 breaths here. Before very gently returning back to all fours. Now we're going to come into the other side. You don't have to turn around. Feel free to bring those hands underneath the shoulders, knees under hips. We open up that right arm now like an elephant's trunk, breathing in, and then exhale, reach as far as we can go underneath that left arm. Again, coming in to thread the needle, and you can stay here as you relax that left arm. Or you may choose to extend out that left leg in line with the right knee. You may choose to, with or without that leg extended, wrap that left arm around the back of the body. Either way, we're inviting contentment into our body. If you wish to grab your pillow or your cushion to place underneath the right side of your face, feel free. Using your breath as an anchor, finding expansion on the inhalation, release on the exhalation, softening. Inviting a smile of contentment into the corners of your mouth and your eyes. Finding contentment, santosha, in this stillness as we get a little bit of stretch in the inner side of that left thigh, the back of the right shoulder, and a very gentle twist through the thoracic spine. Softening the toes, the fingers, the jaw. Being content here as you find stillness in this shape and soften with each breath out. Just 3 to 5 more breaths. And once again, we follow that path of least resistance as we come out of this shape. Taking that left arm up and then exhale back down to the floor, returning that left leg back underneath the hip. Pressing into the left hand as we peel up the right shoulder, with or without opening up that elephant's trunk. Now you might like to come into stillness or movement, whatever your body craves at the moment, whatever your body's intuition invites you to do so. If you do come into that movement, the figure of 8 movement with the shoulders and the hips, this is called Ganesh Asana or Ganesha pose. It is movement and continuous, almost erratic movement. As a rebound pose, you can bring the hips all the way back to the heels. You can bring the weight all the way over. You can arch the back, sway the back, whatever movement feels right for you as you dip and flow through the major joints in the body. And Ganesha is the elephant god, the remover of obstacles. So as you come into Ganesha Asana or Ganesha pose, Think about removing the physical obstacles within your body that might be holding you back, finding a stretch, a release as you move through Ganeshasana. And then very gently bring the hips to the heels, forehead to the floor, and take the hands gently underneath the shoulders. Ever so gently press the earth away, and again imagine your fern frond unfurling as you curl up vertebrae by vertebrae, curling up, shoulders, head, last, rolling those shoulders back and down. And again, here in our kneeling position, taking a breath in, circling the hands up, taking the hands to the sky, and exhale, draw them down to the heart. You may wish to rest back on your heels as you give your heart a little hug, extending love, kindness, and compassion to all parts of you that enabled you to show up to the mat today. Extending gratitude to all parts of you as you give your heart a little hug, and maybe even bring a kiss to the fingertips. And then release. Coming off those legs, giving the toes a little bit of a flex and a stretch. We are going to finish on our mat once again in Shavasana or corpse pose, embodying the benefits of our practice. Even though we've been holding stillness for a number of these poses, really important to find that stillness in Shavasana as well. So as you curl down onto your mat, vertebrae by vertebrae, keep a bend into the knees. We're going to come into a supine lumbar twist, but with a difference. So take your left leg, cross it over the right. Very gently shift your hips a little bit over to the left so that there's a little bit of space here to guide your legs over to the right. Keep the shoulders grounded, the heart space open, arms wide if comfortable. If this is too strong on the left shoulder, then very gently just place your hand on your torso somewhere. Gentle twist here. If you'd like a little more, with those legs crossed, you can extend the left leg up towards the extended right hand. You're going to get into the fascia or the soft tissue that runs on the outer edge of the hip, remembering that we got into the inner side of the thighs to begin with, and now we're getting into the opposite side of the thigh, and the fascia, the soft tissue that supports the hip and the knee joint on the outer edge of the leg. If you'd like a little more here, turn your head to the left, and you'll get a little bit more of an opening across your pectoral muscles. Invite a smile of contentment into the corners of your eyes as you find stillness, santosha, contentment. Just 3 to 5 more breaths here, purposefully using each exhalation to surrender into the shape, soften, release. And you might not be holding on into the parts that are getting that stretch. You might be holding on in your jaw, your fingers, your shoulders, your toes. So releasing all aspects of your body. And then we pop a gentle bend into the knees, return to the cross if that leg was extended, and breathe in, come back to center. Uncross the legs, coming to some movement with some windshield wiper actions with the legs. And then returning to center, cross the right leg over left this time, shift the hips a little bit over to the right, and exhale, guide the legs over to the left. Again, your shoulders are rounded towards the earth, arms wherever they're comfortable for you. If you'd like a little more, you can extend that right leg towards left hand. However, knowing we are asymmetrical beings, take an option that feels right for your body on this side. Breathing, softening, releasing, using the breath out in particular to surrender into your shape. Can you let go a little more? Can you invite that smile of contentment into the corners of your eyes and into the edges of your heart? Three to 5 more breaths here. And then following that path of least resistance, on your next breath in, if that right leg is extended, pop a bend into the knee, breathing in, drawing everything back to center, a little windshield wiper action before resting in Shavasana. And once again in Shavasana, grabbing your pillows, your blankets, your eye pillows, whatever feels comfortable for you. Staying warm and cozy, lengthening out, supine butterfly, or bent into the knees. And closing your eyes, noticing how the breath and the body interact. Noticing the spaces that feel open, noticing the spaces that feel lighter. Noticing the spaces where the breath travels easily. And as you feel the breath traveling into your body, perhaps also imagine a color attached to the breath. Maybe it's pure white. Within the pure white, know that every color of the spectrum of the rainbow exists within that pure white. As you breathe, allow that light to fill your body, traveling to each and every corner of your body, traveling to the far off regions, all the way down to your fingers, down to your toes, up to your crown, like a 5-pointed star, filling your body with life, with light, with the breath. And once again, you can stay here in your practice of Shavasana for as long as you need, and focusing on the breath and the body, and the interaction between your two constant companions. Filling your body with life and light and positivity. Or if you choose to carry on with your day, feel free to have a stretch, a yawn, a sigh, roll out to one side, and then gently make your way up to a comfortable seat. Finishing our practice by circling in that energy, breathing in. Allow the hands to meet, gather and harness all of that energy to take with you into your day, into your world, and into your very being. Noticing how you feel at the end of your practice, and offering a sign of honor, integrity, and respect to yourself and those who shared the practice with you today. Namaste.